What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Probably the best card this month comes out today in Sasquatch. It's going to make Balance Thanos Zoo absolutely skyrocket in value. Combined with the OTA review we're going to be talking about with Werewolf by Night back in the meta, we're bound to have a crazy week of Marvel Snap. On top of that, we're going to rank every single new card from Series 4 and 5 that have entered Marvel Snap in a new segment of Rapid Fire. Alex and I are going to give our very first thoughts on how we rank the cards that are in the game and the most important to buy with tokens and or just look at Spotlight Weeks. We're going to be talking about all that today and more in this episode of the Snapchat. And as always, I'm joined by the one and only Mr. Alex Kocha. Hello, buddy. Happy Monday to you and to all of you guys listening today. We have a new Marvel Snap this week. We got ourselves a pretty large patch that we're going to be breaking down today, Alex. We've got the last week of the season as we have our new card Sasquatch hit the scene and Infinity Conquest, all that good stuff. What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, Cozy. I mean, listen, Leech got nerfed from a 4 cost to a 5 cost, a little extra power in there. Leech might still be relevant, but it's been knocked down to its absolutely insane play rate that we've kind of experienced over the last 2 weeks. So today, my friend, it's a good day to be a Marvel Snap player.
He said it. It's been how long? How long has it been since you've said your old infamous line, that is?
It's been a while, actually. Like, I haven't been saying it as often lately. I was kind of getting ragged on it because I kept saying it, and people were like, "Yo, this guy always saying that it's a great time to be a Marvel Snap player." It's like, bro, they're like, "Okay, fine, I won't say anymore." And then I really want to say it because it often is a great time to be a Marvel Snap player.
Okay, yeah, hey man, don't let him get to you, all right? I'll say happy snapping. If I'm like starting to hate snap, do I just say like hateful snapping? What do I say? What's my new trade line?
I don't know. Keep snapping, maybe.
Keep snapping. That's like, but then if I'm hating it, I'm like, I guess
meant
keep snapping,
maybe.
Oh, keep snapping, maybe. Wow, that really just sets the tone for the rest of the day. Hope you enjoyed the video. Keep snapping, I guess, maybe if you want
yeah,
to.
Exactly.
It's
I
okay.
guess it's even better. Yeah.
It's an okay time to be a Marvel Snap player. You know, we'll find yours out too. But anyway, man, we have a lot to break down. We have a fun subject. People enjoyed the music conversation. A lot of Screamo fans I saw, and a lot of people that were blown away with the term Ghetto Blaster from Alex Kocha. And I think the visuals really sold it to a lot of people. But man, it's always fun seeing not only, telling people, our normal lives, but also seeing kind of what our audience listens to or, who they are a bit more. I know it makes it more real for us as we do these. And we have a good one today. But before we jump into that, what are we talking about on your side of the Snapchat?
Cozy, on my side of the Snapchat, we're going to be discussing Nomura in review, giving our thoughts on our first week with Nomura. We'll also be talking about the meta breakers of Marvel Snap, the ones to come, the ones that came, and our general impressions on ones that just might break the meta once again. And then finally, as always, our Snapchat mailbag.
Well, man, we're going to kind of get right to it here in just a moment. We got a lot to talk about Sasquatch, who I rated the best card of the month back in the early previews. We have every new card that has come out ranked. That's gonna be a fun new rapid fire segment, guys. We have a lot of new segments coming in the coming weeks, and we're gonna have one here. And then huge balance patch. Obviously, we had a ton of changes. Alex and I are gonna recap all of those as well. But before we jump into that, we talked about the music, and people wanted a simple question. We had a simple question asked. It was, if you were to say off the top of your head with no preparation, which I swear I've not prepped. I actually don't even know mine right this second. Most influential movies and or movies that you just go to are your token favorite, Alex. I know you're on the spot.
That is such a hard question.
It's a hard
answer,
spot.
Man.
It's a hard question. I was thinking about this. I almost always hate what is your favorite blank. Like favorite food, I barely know. I love sushi, but I love all food, right? It's hard to rank it. That's what makes it fun. Do you remember walking away from a movie and being like, damn, that was great?
You know what? The one that I always go to that it's like a feel good one. I actually haven't watched it in a couple years. I need to go back to it. Is The Wedding Singer. That might be like a really old school one, but it's one of my favorite. Like, I don't know, man. It's like old school Adam Sandler.
Yeah,
there's just so many like hilarious lines, like the wedding speech from Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
There's so many good moments in that movie, and like obviously it's older. I remember watching it growing up. Another one is like the original Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Oh, man.
I think it's so damn funny. Like I like there's a couple classics I always go to. Not a huge fan on Ace Ventura 2, I'll be honest with you, when nature calls. I do like the scene where like he comes out of the rhino's butt. Like I think that's the only I don't know if you anyways. If you haven't seen it, if you have seen it, you're definitely picturing the scene of Jim Carrey exiting the orifice of
the orifice. You know what's funny is I feel like I can come back to. Sorry, I'm just trying to get that mental image out of my head. I always like when it comes to comedies, I have like a lot of like favorite comedies, but there's not like one to rule them all. There's not a Sauron of comedies, right? Like I've got, like Wedding Crashers is fantastic. Tropic Thunder is awesome. Like these old comedies I'd go back to, even Pineapple Express, I cackle at it. However, when it comes to like more, maybe not serious, but like plot-driven movies, I can remember. And I'm trying not to think of like the main ones, like the guys, I could list Infinity War. It's my favorite Marvel movie. But when it comes to like actual good stuff, I have a Jim Carrey movie for you, man. Have you seen The Truman Show?
Oh my gosh, I was just looking at it last night. I couldn't even make this up. This is insane.
No way.
I was looking at it last night because my wife accidentally, my kids do this. They play on like the Amazon, like with the controller, and they keep subscribing to all these services by accident. And they subscribe to the one in Canada that has The Truman Show.
Oh,
and I'm like,
okay.
I've never actually seen this
You haven't
one.
seen
and
The
that
Truman
was
Show?
literally last night.
Okay, I can't even like dive into it at all then, because here's the thing. I remember watching The Truman Show for the first time, and I asked my dad, I was younger, I was like, hey, what's it about? And he goes, I'm going to tell you nothing. And that's the best way to go into it. You like, there's like knowing nothing. All I can tell you guys that have seen it, there's a place called Coronado in San Diego, and it feels like I'm in The Truman Show. Like everyone's just so perfect. It's a riot. So that one, man, is on my list, and I want you to watch it now. It's one of my all-time favorites. I walked away thinking there was nothing like it, and I just loved the premise. So without spoiling much at all, it's a mind bender. So like if you enjoy like the Inception, Shutter Island is another fantastic. Have you seen Shutter Island with Leonardo DiCaprio?
No.
Oh my God, Alex, you're missing like some of my favorites. What about this one's more of a a true story. Have you seen Captain Phillips?
Nope.
Okay, what do you want, Bambi? What is it mainly just kid movies these days? These are
we
old ones.
exclusively
Though.
watch kid movies. Yeah, that's
What
pretty
about
much
like
it.
10 years ago?
10 years ago, I mean, okay. If I had to think back, 10 years ago, what kind of movies was I even into, man? I honestly didn't watch many movies.
So Alex spent his time watching Ace Ventura and the Dragon Ball Z straight to home video.
I'll tell you what I really like to watch, truly, is I like all the Planet Earth documentaries with like David Attenborough.
Oh, yeah.
All the classic ones, Life in Color, Life on This Planet. I watch it with my kids too. I really love those types of nature documentaries, especially the deep sea ones where they go like really underwater and they find like, crazy like translucent fish and like stuff that no one's ever seen before. That really captures my interest. Not so much as like, oh, look at this, a lion chasing down a zebra or whatever. That I could go without. It's like the really fascinating, look at this weird fish underwater that looks like a jellyfish with 100 arms.
And what blows my mind on those is the camera shots. Like I'll be watching something and like, back when we grew up, Zoo Books was as good as it got. We got like a magazine. I'm like, yo, there's a fish I've never seen before. And it's like a still image. And you're like, all right, I'm going to move on with my day. When I watch those things, I'm like, how are they getting this angle on this fish doing this one thing on the one time of the month, and the one time of the year, and the one time of its lifetime? How do they do it?
It's like those ones where like the dude's hiding in the tent for 6 months to get the video of the dirt, like the bird dancing. Yeah.
What a job. What a job. I mean, it's got to be like super fulfilling, but good God, it's like you got to be, that guy's playing Marvel Snap. Like, that guy in the tent, he's got to be doing something. For someone who hates animals, I'm surprised you watch those.
I know, but I watch them to help inform myself on what animals to hate next.
Got it. So you're like watching, you're like, I didn't even know this fish existed, but that
Hate
fish. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, we got a lot to go into it. And speaking of documentaries, there's the, I'm sure there's a documentary of Sasquatch. And that's today's card, Alex. And this is, as I've alluded to, this was the card I was most excited for going into the month. We have a 6-cost card, but it's deceptively 6 cost. 10 power. Costs 1 less for each card you played last turn is Sasquatch's ability. Alex, what are you thinking? I think you gave it a 4 in our initial ratings. Is that about where you're at right now?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with a 4 rating. I think this is a very strong card, very competitive card. I'm very happy to stay at a 4 rating. Okay,
yeah. I said I think it's the best this month. Blink is going to be a hard cat to beat. Blink, I had Blink at 4.5. I think that was your 5-star. I still think this might be it, especially where it's falling and how it's falling and what decks it's going to be played in after the OTA. this thing is going to be is set up for some pretty large success. So let's go and jump right into it. The Spotlight caches, kind of a lackluster week, but also important. You've got Ravona Renslayer, which is pretty much an essential card at this point with Zabu dead. And then you have Havoc, which is the opposite of Ravona Renslayer. So not the craziest Spotlight, but if you whiff and you get Ravona then Sasquatch and you don't have her, it's a win, but she is an S4.
I love Ravona, and this is one of those weeks where, like, I think there was a bit of a meta in evaluating the individual weeks that were available Spotlight-wise, because I'm like, I wonder why they included Sasquatch, a universally beloved card that, like, everyone seems to think is going to be great, and then they put 2 Series 4 cards with it, one of which is Havoc, which I actually really like Havoc, but not from a competitive standpoint. Like, I like Havoc because I like the card, I think it's cool, and I don't care so much about MMR. But if you do care about your rank and you care about winning, then Havoc isn't as good. It's had a couple decks, but that's literally it. In its entire existence, it's had like 2 decks where it's been even remotely competitive. But Ravona, I think, is a must-have.
So one thing is, I think they're getting pretty good at pairing up Spotlights. Like, so for instance, Namora came out with Black Knight Scar. My deck had all 3. Like, and it worked successfully. A Black Knight deck with Scar, with Namora, and it kind of for a reason. Sasquatch is probably with Havoc because of the bounce lean-in, which we'll get to in a moment, and Havoc works in those decks. I still don't think I would play him in it because Havoc, in theory, reduces the cards you could play, right? So kind of an awkward fit there, but I kind of get where they're going with, per se. And then Ravona, maybe Block Swan would have been a better pick. But either way, let's talk about synergies, man. And there's so many to go into here. I'm sticking at 5, and here's the reason why. There's a couple cards that have come out in the last couple of months. We're about to rank them all. And there's some ones towards the top. The ones towards the top are all synergistic cards with Sasquatch, and none more than probably his biggest synergized option. Alex, let's talk about Mysterio. So Mysterio has been this interesting card to snap for a very long time. It counts as 3 played cards. We've seen this with Mockingbird. An instant 3 discount. So I think the new meta package, period, in just a staple, a Nihilus Hood Sentry, you got that package. We now have Mockingbird, Mysterio, Sasquatch. This is a package now that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
It's an insane package, and you're absolutely right. Marvel Snap's been kind of like, I don't want to say shoehorning itself, but like putting itself into these little kind of niches where, like, now you have this Mockingbird, Mysterio, and Sasquatch package. You had the Asgardian package with Jane Foster, Beta Ray, and Thor. You have the Sentry Nihilus package, of course. And like, but with this one here, it's crazy because it's taking a card like Mysterio, which traditionally was never played on 2. Like, you very rarely play. Some Patriot decks did, but like you almost never really played him down on 2. And then now it's like beneficial to play him out on 2, which is crazy because then like it makes your turn 3. It makes Mockingbird what, a 2/9 and Sasquatch a 2/10.
Yeah, so immediately, this is the first time. So She-Hulk, at best case scenario, you skip turn 3, you can play her on turn 4. Sasquatch, if you play Mysterio on 2, you can play Sasquatch on turn freaking 3, which is...
Yeah, it's 3 energy. That's
ridiculous. Like, absolutely ridiculous. And funny enough, through all these, we're seeing our boy Scar just tick up in absolute value because you're having more of these kind of bigger cards that you can sneak out of there. By the way, this is kind of an off-topic thing. Can you... I don't know if we realize... Is this not the coolest variant that's come out this year? This is so sick.
Pretty crazy, yeah.
It's pretty
a nice
sick.
one. It's definitely the work on the axe itself is pretty awesome.
The axe, the hair, the animation, this is awesome. And it's cool to have Scar like much more playable than he was before. Way more playable than he was even a few months back because of the 10 power cards. We had one kind of dip out of there with Sentry. We'll get to that. But yes, let's talk about this. So Mysterio is going to allow you to play Sasquatch on 3. But in turn as well, and we'll get to these, the fact of just thinking about playing on turn 5, if you save your Mysterio, you go in a different direction, right? You play Hitmonkey, Mysterio. We know this combo. We know it's cracked. We know Hitmonkey goes up significantly in power. Great boom bursts that you can get out of there. Mysterio being played down. That is 4 cards being played down for what? The full 5 energy. And all of a sudden, you have a Sasquatch. That's 2 cost. And you just had a massive, massive explosion of power the turn before. There are a lot of applications that use him, but never mind that. We also have Mockingbird as well. That right there is just going to be such a brain-dead simple combo, no matter the archetype.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about it too is like even like Sage, for instance, might be able to find itself in these decks as well, giving you a secondary option if you don't happen to draw your Hitmonkey, or you can even play. So let's be honest, Sasquatch is going to be so cheap. You can play Sage and Sasquatch on turn 6 together after you play your Mysterio and your Hitmonkey on turn 5. It's actually crazy what the burst potential is here. Not to mention the ability to just kind of ramp out very straightforward. Like it has multiple lines, which I think I really appreciate as a player. If you happen to draw Mysterio Sasquatch and you don't have your Hitmonkey, or you're not confident you're going to draw into it, just play the Mysterio down, play your Sasquatch down. It might be susceptible to Shang-Chi, but Shang-Chi currently is only running a 15% meta share. It's probably the lowest it's ever been, which is kind of crazy. So it might be able to survive.
And you can only Shang-Chi so many cards, right? You spread these cards out, you're going to start to get that power. Think about this play line. You can go with a 1-cost card, pick your poison, Nebula, don't really care. Mysterio turn 2. Turn 3, you turned on the Sasquatch, okay? Turn 4, you throw in, what would be? Turn 4, you would throw in Coal Obsidian on the 1-cost, all right? Turn 5, you can go with any other 10 power card that you can throw down there, whether you want to boost through the more, whatever it might be, or you just simply play like a Blue Marvel to boost up maybe the Mockingbird you played. Turn 6, you have a free Scar plus Doctor Doom to go with the Blue Marvel, whatever you want to do there, or a 2-power Scar for not even a difficult play to turn, to try to pull off. You put how much power on the board before that as well. I mean, we are truly going to be going into, which is why I voted Sasquatch my favorite card. We've seen these card reducing new cards come out before. Cards that can be energy cheated, sorry. And they always slap. Scar, as we have alluded to before, was a little bit harder to pull off. Now he's kind of entering the camp of becoming easier. That's where it's going to be, man. And I want to go back to Coal Obsidian here, because where I think is probably my favorite spot outside of the main one is got to be Zoo. I truly think this will be, for the first time in a while, this really cool card that will fit in this Zoo-style archetype. There's obviously one archetype a bit better than this, but what do you think about Zoo with Sasquatch?
I think it's absolutely fine, for sure. And I want to just say, I think you, dare I say, hit the nail on the head, Cozy, when you mentioned that, like, there's just so many play lines with this card. And even, like, the idea that you're talking about Zoo right now just illustrates how flexible it could potentially be. Because I mean, playing it as a 6/10 feels bad, but even then, it's not the complete end of the world.
Yeah.
You'll never just play for 6/10, though. What'd you skip turn 5? Like, what are you doing here, right?
Yeah.
You're always going to have it discounted. And something like a Zoo deck really benefits from being able to squeeze additional pieces out onto the board. You could, in theory, play something like a Dazzler and a Sasquatch on a turn 6, right? Like, that's even just that might be enough to completely flip a game state. So I absolutely agree that it's going to be a very flexible addition to many collections.
And for people that they're just kind of thinking, okay, 1-cost cards and Sasquatch, I get what you're saying, but hold on. No, let's go ahead and talk about a couple cards with that fit the package. First of all, Dracula Dump loves this. You have a Dracula play on 4. You now have another card with that power. If things don't work out, you can fit that into the entire mold. But more importantly to all that too, especially the way Thanos is played now, because Thanos now is starting in your hand, let's go and revisit a possible Thanos Zoo where he's kind of back into the fray. We have these Infinity Stones that cost obviously nothing to play down. It's 1 energy per pop. But on top of that, Black Swan, who's been pretty lackluster even in bounce builds, Black Swan could find herself at a really cool home here. It doesn't have to be with Thanos. Black Swan could just be with the 1-cost drops if we want to go that route. But I do think Black Swan having cards be for free is absolutely massive in this potential build where you're getting Sasquatch out for literally nothing. And don't forget, guys, 1-cost cards are the best they've ever been in the game, from Ant-Man to even Rocket Raccoon.
You know what's hilarious about this conversation? While you were speaking, I thought to myself, I think we actually need to say what Black Swan is. Because that card has been so irrelevant that I think there's people out there that are like, I don't even know what Black Swan does. A 3/5, my friends, that on reveal makes your 1-cost cards cost 0 for the next turn. That's what Black Swan does. And of course, it's synergistic with Sasquatch because you can dump those cards out on turn 4 and maybe play a Sasquatch for basically free on turn 5, right? 100%. It's just crazy to me to think that like this card has underperformed as much as it has.
I think this card single-handedly taught people about how important it is to play certain cards win. On paper, it looks great, but because you're trying to force cards to be played a certain turn, it just doesn't work out that way. Like, it just is kind of awkward. And even with the 5-power stat line, the first of it, of like kind of like a non-drawback Black Swan, that's why I think originally you loved the grade you gave it, because it on paper seemed like a home run hit, right? Black Swan, though, I do think will have a place in Zoo and the next archetype we talk about, which, no question here, we've already said Mysterio. We've already said Hitmonkey. Alex, what's the archetype those fit into? What's the one that this is going to be the transcendent card for?
Pretty sure you'd be referring to Bounce, my friend.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that is not only because of Sasquatch coming out, not only because you can play a lot of cards easily, cheap, and fast, but also we got a little guy named Werewolf by Night that just went down to a 3 cost that is already going to elevate this archetype.
My man, like, honestly, the current iterations of Bounce are seeing builds that not only include Sage, but you're also including the Angela Kitty Pride package in a lot of them as well. And keep in mind that you do so much as play Jeff and Kitty Pride on top of an Angela on turn 3, your Sasquatch comes out on turn 4. Like, basically, like, super discount. Like, so it's kind of crazy to think how, like, these lines create themselves. You just do what the deck is designed to do, and Sasquatch turns into this just bonus power. Bonus 10 power, which can be used to your discretion. That's what really impresses me about this card.
We were going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs for Cole Obsidian. Why I gave this guy a 5 is because guess what? You played 2 cards the turn before. You have a Cole Obsidian you can play anywhere. Like, it is a absolute busted card. And funny enough, on my notes I have Kitty Pride and Friends, to your point exactly. Why? Because we now have Hope Summers too, which means you get more energy to play more cards in play lines that you're already doing. Like, it is going to be a great addition to the Kitty Pride and Angela deck. And that's where it's like, I think Bounce will be its biggest home, but a lot of people don't like Bounce. It's a tough archetype to play. So even a few of these cards are going to be enough to pop this off. I'm telling you guys, Mockingbird, Mysterio, Sasquatch, that little core is going to be a group you can put with just about anyone. You can put that in the Patriot deck. It doesn't matter. It's going to be just as good to go with Ultron if you want to go that route. But for those that really like analytical play, the Bounce plays here with Sasquatch, potentially having the Kitty Pride package, having Falcon. Obviously, I got down here with Beast. I mean, that alone, I don't see how a bunch of ones, Beast, Falcon, Hitmonkey, Mysterio, Sasquatch, Mockingbird, there you have it.
Yeah, no, basically that's it. It's one of those decks that kind of writes itself a little bit. The way I approach deck building is like a backwards design. I think of, okay, what do I want my deck to do? What is my win condition? How do I meet that win condition? And then work backwards from there. If you do that with Sasquatch, it literally writes itself just like you did right there. One thing I want to mention right off the top here, there's a very obvious kind of elephant in the room that needs to be discussed, and that's going to be Mobius and Mobius, right? So Mobius and Mobius is going to be everywhere week 1, but don't let it discourage you. That's just going to be haters hating. Once that second week rolls around for Sasquatch and people aren't running Mobius and Mobius as often, I think it will kind of not be as much of an issue, especially when you consider, we mentioned it prior, if you turn to Mysterio, you can get Sasquatch out before the Mobius drops on turn 3. So you got a little bit of a saving grace there.
So a lot to touch on there. First of all, great point where you're able to play Sasquatch if you identify somehow like pretty early that there's going to be a Mobius in the deck. But also for those that don't get this card, that can't afford it, that don't want it, like Mobius is your ticket. I will say, I think we focus a lot on like, what if they do this? Ravonna has been meta for how long? Mobius has been around. He's not exactly teched all the time. It's a card that people think they can leave out. I've seen that way too many times. You know, Namor came out where you're so scared about junk. I didn't see that much junk. Kind of crazy. I was expecting junk to be everywhere. I think we will have more Mobius because of Sasquatch, but mainly too because of Werewolf by Night and how good he's going to be in the emerging days. But also, Mobius is such a great answer to like 4 or 5 meta decks that are about to spawn, right? He's a terrible curve play if you're playing something like Hela, which is where you got that risk reward or whatever. But he is going to be vital, and was our point originally why he should just go down and pull 3. I think at this point, he's becoming such an important card that if a new player got Sasquatch, you're at such a disadvantage without Mobius if you're not able to get that. But yes, Mobius is its biggest counter, no question, second to Shang-Chi. It's going to be really interesting here.
We found ourselves being able to play Call Obsidian with almost complete ease, right? It wasn't as hard of an issue as perhaps we thought it was going to be. And I feel like Sasquatch is going to be the same. It's never going to be a 6 cost 10. Right? At worst, it's a 5 cost at 10, which even isn't horrible. Like even then, in its worst state, you're like, okay, I'm playing a 5/10. There's worse things in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And the play lines are just there. Like you could even play, dude. There's a world where you're Black Swan on 3, playing a bunch on 4, and playing Taskmaster Sasquatch on 5. Like just weird play lines that like it kind of just fits with majority of decks played out. And as your point, you know, Namora at worst, why I liked her, she's a 5'11". I mean, pretty much at worst. But at worst, she's actually a 5'6". Sasquatch is actually a 5'10", no matter what. Like, that's going to be just about, unless you're like skipping a turn or whatever, which doesn't happen too often. I try to like, oh, She-Hulk, you know, like obviously they have counter synergy. You can't, you know, pull that one off. But I do think there's a lot of interesting lines here that are going to make, just in general, the play of Sasquatch that much more interesting into so many different decks. I'm pumped for it. Again, this is my card of the month, and it's a great way to end the season. All right, Alex, that's going to take us to our next section. And so everybody knows what we're doing. It's a rapid fire tier list. Usually we like tier lists with long discussions, but we have a lot of cards to rank today. And so Alex and I are going to rank first off the mind our very first tier that we think of in a rapid fire tier list for every new card in Marvel Snap. There's like 70 of them. It's S4, S5, and hopefully this, guys, helps you determine what you should buy, what spotlights to go after, everything above. And we're not going to be ranking it, Alex, on just simply, is card good? Good card make Alex Cozy happy. It's more of, is it archetype defining? Is it an essential card? Is it replaceable? How much do you actually play it? Of course, this isn't the right list. This is our list, and we're going to do our best here in a rapid fire segment. And we're going to take it over, and we're just kind of going to go randomly. There's no set order here. Beautiful tier list brought to you by Tier Maker. That's not a sponsor. Just shout them out. So anyway, Alex, we're going to start off rapid fire. First thing that comes to mind, we're going to start with an easy one, Mockingbird.
Definitely A for me.
A tier for you. So Mockingbird to me is probably A. Yeah. S tier, I want to reserve for only like 5 of the 70. Those are the muskets. Mockingbird is as close as you get, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the emojis at the top, by the way. They're a beautiful touch.
I know. They just came in here. It's so great that this thing's going to be going up and down the whole time. Supergiant.
Oh, damn. It's a D. It's D, but I wish it was better. I like it, but it's a D.
D, I would go C, probably. It's one of those that I think I would have to move later. I'm fine with top of D. I think it's not played enough. I think it counters a ton of decks out there. Oh, I want to go C, but I'll go with D for you. That's fine. Let's go Nocturne.
Ooh, Nocturne has been betraying me a lot lately. It's probably like high C, low B range, so I'm going B or C.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, I'd go with a solid B there. I like what it does. Yeah. It's funny that it's been screwing you over, whereas, you know, I'm sure that's different per person. I think it's a solid card, good stat line, but it could go to C just because of how it's like C. The reason I want to put Supergiant up is I feel like it's so unique in what it does. I think Nocturne, we already have a lot of those, and so those are close. I might move down Nocturne as we go on here. Fair enough. Okay, we're not going to read what all these do, guys. You know, we've talked about most of these in length. We'll mention it every now and then, but we'll keep going here. Hope Summers.
Oh, it's an S tier card, Cozy. Yep. You know that.
Yeah, I think this is amongst one of the most important in the game to get.
Yeah.
It goes anywhere, right? It can be played anywhere. It's not archetype defining, but kind of is because it fits into every archetype and one of my most played.
Yeah, it's an amazing card. Absolutely incredible card. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Rapid fire is interesting because there's so much we want to say, but we have to keep going.
Yeah, no, we can't. We're podcast hosts that can't talk.
Yeah, right. Sebastian Shaw.
Oh man, I like this card, but he's as C as they come, honestly. Like,
really,
in terms of like, I mean, he's archetype defining, but like he's a one-trick pony. I didn't even put him in my Nomura decks. I thought I was going to. He didn't make it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go D because of how replaceable he is too. Like, he just seems like he's super replaceable. Like, even in Surfer, which is clearly his best play, dude, Surfer's like the most contested. Are you mad at D? Do you want him at C?
He's okay at D, high D. I'd agree with that. He performs better than D, I think, but I accept his fate.
I accept his fate. What about Elsa? Where does she land nowadays?
To me, she feels like a solid B. Like, I don't know, man. I can see people arguing for A. I don't think she's there. She needs too much support.
I think I'm going to go B as well. I think she isn't archetype defining, but definitely helps it. I think if you're going to go with Kitty Pryde and that whole package, there are some of these that you definitely want. Hope Summers naturally would be your first buy, and Elsa's not far behind if you have the next card that we're going to rank in Kitty Pryde. There are so many damn cards down here. I can't find her. Kitty Pryde, I forget, is not a Series 3 card. Where do you rank Kitty?
I would say that Kitty Pride is currently an A card, but I mean, probably high B. It's again these cards. It's hard to evaluate in a vacuum. I would lean towards an A or high B.
I think high B, yeah. I'm just trying to think like how much I play these certain cards, and like there are some that you have to buy in a bundle almost. Right? Like you want to get them back to back to back. I think Kitty Pride, although very good, great in Angela, there's still other ones that you could buy. Kitty's right on the edge there. Don't think of this as if they're an A, they're way better than B. The end of A goes right into B. So if she's there, she's kind of right there for everybody. So Kitty Pride we have in B. Let's go to Baron Zemo.
That's as C as it gets, in my opinion.
I think Baron Zemo is a C card. Archetype defining, kind of, but
yes,
but no need. You don't have to get this card. You don't. Mill is fun, but I don't want to call it gimmicky, but it's not like gonna be it's just not worth the tokens.
Like I think Cable's better than Baron Zemo.
Yeah, I would agree to that. Yeah, and there's like, man, with all the Electros running around nowadays and Ram decks, there's ways you can get screwed from it. I like Baron as a card a ton, but I'm going to put him in C with you. I agree on that. Where does Cole Obsidian land after all these months?
I would say A. I lean towards a good solid A under Mockingbird, but A.
Yeah, Cole Obsidian, I think Sasquatch kind of knocks it down a peg. But yeah, we'll go with that. We're not ranking Sasquatch on this specific list. Probably a tough one for a lot of people here, and by this will be their last chance to get it for a little bit. Black Knight. Where do you fall Black Knight with?
Man, it's so hard. He's an archetype defining card, which naturally wants me to put him in A. I might say low A, honestly, but he's definitely high B at a minimum.
Yeah, like I have him above Kitty because Kitty, it's like you're adding Kitty to archetypes, kind of. Whereas Black Knight does his own thing. He's so solid. When I got Black Knight, I played his deck so much. I was just playing it again. Ebony Blade. It's so smooth, man. And I played with Namora, so he's also flexible.
I can see the B tier placement of Kitty Pride tilting people, but let me just explain. I think Kitty Pride's B, but her synergies are A or S. Like the fact that you play Kitty Pride into Hope Summers, or the fact that you play Kitty Pride into Angela, that's what makes those cards good. But you need those cards to make Kitty Pride good herself. So I think it's pretty good in B, and I do agree that Black Knight deserves A.
Thank you for the explanation there. White Widow.
Man, I lean towards like an A.
It's going to be an A, not an S. It's an A, though, for sure, right? Like the best 2-drop in the game currently, if not second to it.
It's absolutely excellent, yeah.
Yeah, I agree, too. All right. Pixie, I think me and you are going to have drastically different rankings here, but I'm actually going to go with probably near A, if not top of B.
You know what? I would accept that. I do. Because I think that Pixie has proven to be a very high cube equity card. It's been near the top of the meta for a couple weeks now, and highly specific decks. Yeah, I would accept Pixie's kind of capabilities as a card.
And she does the role you're looking for, like Black Knight. Like Kitty Pryde, Nocturne, Elsa, those are support cards to the key card. I think Pixie's now a key card, and it's crazy to think about it. The upside is so there, and archetype defining. Love Pixie as a card, one of my favorites. We can get this one done with nice and easy. Annihilus, probably towards the very top, if not the top. Yep. Would you have it above Hope Summers?
No, I would put Hope Summers above. No, I take that back. It's hard to say. Annihilus is damn good, but Hope Summers has it can go anywhere.
With the
so can Annihilus.
With the recent Century buffs / nerf, I probably have him right under Hope Summers there. I would agree on that. Red Guardian, a card I know you love, but trying to just think about it in a vacuum. If someone has, the tokens to buy it, where are you placing it? I know you played a lot, so that would help.
I like him high A for sure, but I can see people not adding him to the collection. He's literally the best card in Marvel Snap you don't need. So it's so hard to rank him. He's an A card from pure performance standpoint, but I leave it to you to decide where you slot him here.
I look at the term replaceable very closely, and Red Guardian is replaceable. As good as he is, he's replaceable. The ones we have right now, like White Widow's replaceable, but kind of not. Cole is kind of, but kind of not. You can't have a lot of suggestions there. Red Guardian to me seems better than obviously Supergiant. Better than probably, I would actually move this down. This is probably the ranking that I would give Red Guardian. In terms of what I would buy, I'd actually get Red Guardian before Elsa. Is probably my personal preference.
100%, yeah. It's a way better card. I would too.
I like it. I think mid B is a good tier for it. Tough one to rank there. I think tech cards are really hard to rank as a whole. Phoenix Force is almost it almost has to be A with Black Knight, but it also is just Oh, man, I don't know. This is one you don't need a lot of synergy outside of it. I think it could be A.
I think it could be C.
Yeah, right. I know it could be kind of in the middle. Do you want to go B with it then?
I mean, if you want to just meet middle ground and go B, that's fine. I think Phoenix Force in the hands of a very talented player is near S tier. But for just the average person, statistically, it's as C as it gets.
So I was thinking it's the most archetype defining you could think of, but it's as far as like how much I played, how much I would suggest buying it. I think low B is probably where I would settle in at. Zabu now, how he has fallen. I have not even played Zabu since the OTA.
Garbage.
Is he just bottom of the barrel now?
Yep.
I agree.
Just put him down there. Put him behind the shed.
It's so sad. Mirage.
Oh, man, I'm actually sad. Mirage has been just power crept. I actually like the card, but like, why play Mirage when you can play Cable? It's definitely like a D, F tier card.
I think I'm going to put it in F as much as I like it and as much as it can do good things. 2 cost is way too competitive. It's just way too competitive. And talk about replaceable. The definition of it. The really definition
of it. Absolutely. The most replaceable card on this list so far.
Yeah, probably. We've had a really good Lady Deathstrike, and now we've had one that fell off kind of after even just a 1 power point difference here. Where do you put her?
You know what? Lady Deathstrike, I'd say a low B, high C.
Yeah. I think low B is probably... You know what, though? Here's the thing. I'm going to go high C with you because I agree. When I'm thinking about cards you want to buy, ones you want to play, I just can't. If you look at this list, I can't imagine getting Lady Deathstrike. I personally would get Super Giant before Lady Deathstrike, and that's like...
Yep, me too.
Okay, so I would probably say she's in line with like a Baron as far as what she does. She's a good card, guys. It's just more of like, rapid fire. That feels good to me too, buddy. Jeff Baby Land Shark, I think we get this one over with right up to the S tier. Above Annihilus.
Oh, higher than Annihilus. Come on now. It's like literally the most universally playable card in Marvel.
I think he might be above. I think he's the card still. I think he's still the definition of S tier. I agree with that, bud. Man-Thing.
Yeah, man, this card. It's like low D. It has a place. It could even be F, honestly.
It's like right there. And it's as much as I like him, I want a decent curve here. And I think comparable to Shaw, bro, I'm playing Shaw more than Man-Thing, which is surprising, but still. Red Hulk.
S.
Yeah, I think you just can't take him out of S. I agree there. There's 2 more S's I know for sure, but he's definitely the one in there. Let's go to Black Swan. I think we got to go off right now and not with Sasquatch and go F, yeah?
Yeah, obviously we don't have Sasquatch in our hands. This could change Black Swan, but Black Swan is pretty F.
She's pretty bad. She's pretty damn bad. Echo, we played more than ever this week, but also... even in the decks you play her to protect the Wong, is she essential? I don't think so.
No. Listen, I actually really like Echo, but still I would admit she's a D card.
D card, I agree. I think I'd have her below Shaw. We're actually working through these at a nice pace here, bud. Next up, we've got Celine. I think this is another F, even with what she does.
I would say D. I actually play Celine. I like Celine. I think Celine is legitimately hated on for reasons that flabbergast me. I think the card's better than universally accepted.
Oh, dude, she's okay. I guess she's Series 4 now. I was gonna say she was Series 5. I could never justify that. You can play in Galactus, play with the Goblins. You can have her in D. I hate her there, but I won't budge on it. X23 I think is A tier. Yeah, towards I would probably have her right there in terms of cards I would get.
Absolutely.
If not higher, X23 is what pulls Destroy together. We can agree. Havoc.
See, again, my heart, I like Havoc. Like me personally, I like Havoc in my collection as like a B card, but he's as D as they come.
Does he look like he'd be there probably?
Yeah, he does look like he'd be there.
Yeah, like I'm looking
Sebastian Shaw and Echo,
yeah. I think people might be mad about Super Giant, but don't knock her till you play her, guys. I think she's pretty legit. Blob is a tough one to place.
Fall from Grace, man. It's like he got completely power crept by Red Hulk, and the meta just doesn't favor him. Like, honestly, he's still an A card probably, but at minimum a high B.
Yeah, I would say he's an A card, especially like, I mean, we've gone away from like a lot of the like huge insane power decks and more of just like value. And so I would agree Blob's probably towards the A tier. Proxima Midnight.
Oh, definitely. That's an A card for discard, 100%.
A card for discard, but if we're talking about buying with tokens, collection value,
then it's like C. Like generally as a collection card, it's C for sure.
We want to take all these into consideration, and I would say, if she reminds me of Elsa, and because I'd say if you're getting Corvus, who I would have higher than this, then you're going to want to get Midnight. If you're getting Summers, you'd want to get Elsa. Is this too high?
No, I don't think it's too high. I think Proxima's a definite good card, just very niche.
Okay. Valentina.
That's B, by the way, guys. We slotted.
Yeah, we have her in the B tier. Sorry. Valentina.
Man, this sucks. I don't mind this card at all. I think it's better than was appreciated. It's probably closer to low D, high F.
Yeah, I think F is way too harsh just because we haven't really had the time to play her all that much. I think Valentina's a D. I played against her the other day and I was like, damn, they put out some insane value with Red Hulk. I think she can find her worth there. I would probably get Valentina before Havoc personally because you also have like the fun factor in there. But yeah, I'd throw that in. Hercules, we can just go right into F tier. I think we can feel good about that one. Jean Grey, gone up, gone down. You know, definitely in the best spot it's been as of late. Is she still... Where do you have her?
I don't want to offend your mistress.
You putting her in like what, D?
No, I would say she's a low C.
She's a low C. You would get Baron.
I would take Baron over Jean Grey, yeah. Without Baron, that whole archetype doesn't exist.
Yeah, I can agree with that. As far as if you combine everything together, like how are you going to run the deck? Like this guy pops off every play possible on me the other day with the Guardians Galaxy Jean deck, and I still beat him by like 10 on each lane. Like it was like best case scenario for him, and it still was like, yeah, I'm just going to play good cards though. I love Jean. Yeah. And one of those cards, if you play more, you know like the intricacies about her. But yeah, I think as a whole, she's still a C tier. Namora.
This is so hard because it's so new. Man, I like Namora. I don't want you to give this to me first, man. I like her like a B card.
Yeah, I like her as a B. I think she's standalone good. She's a standalone good card, not like standalone blob good, but really strong. Just a strong card.
Could even fall to C. She could fall to C.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Maybe no. I like her better than Lady Deathstrike, personally.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay, all right, we'll go with her in B tier, guys. Thanos is tough because he's just like so unique, great for the tokens, but also, bro, I'm not playing Thanos, man. I'm not.
Those arguments where you put Thanos in S because you know there's going to be a time where you're playing Thanos again, and it's such a unique play experience. Every single Marvel Snap player needs to have Thanos. It's that simple.
You want him in S though.
I mean, in terms of collection, yeah, you have to have him in your collection. You know what I mean? But in terms of performance, he's more like a C right now. So if you want to say high A, I'd agree. I
would say you have to have Mockingbird in your collection more than you have to have Thanos in your collection.
That is the most intoxicated thing you've ever said.
Bro, Mockingbird is in so many better decks at the moment, like several. I get it.
Yeah,
Thanos
but Mockingbird's Mockingbird. Thanos is Thanos.
I get that. No, trust me. Unlike if this was a list of like who I just like, yeah, you know, Thanos is him. I totally agree. But oh man, that's a tough one.
Come on, man. This is absolutely cracked. Okay. Thanos is literally the mad Titan. Mockingbird looks like she's going to give you a paddling in Amsterdam.
Thanos is going in S because he's not paddling you in Amsterdam, and Alex has him in the S tier. I'll leave him in there. All right, I'll leave him. I only have a couple more for the S there. But what about Grandmaster? 2-2 now. Oof.
Be careful with this copium here.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we haven't had barely any time because we're filming this early to play the new Grandmaster.
There's only 2 believers of Grandmaster, and they're
it's me and you. Yeah, it's us two right now, Bubba. This feels good. I'm looking at the cards below this. I would even get him more than Shaw because he does something unique. That would be my personal hit.
Yeah,
and that's
so
like
Grandmaster
being nice.
High D.
That's being nice too. High D Grandmaster.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. And he has room to kind of rise. Room to rise. Looking
at this list, if I was like going up from each card, I would buy those cards before that. So I think he does have room to rise. Again, we're filming this way early. He could be way better with the 2-2. I don't see him being tremendously better, but much better at that. I even opened up my OTA league video with like, yep, my most infamous whiffed card, everybody. Beat the comments to it. Miss Marvel.
I mean, my most infamous whiffed card, everybody.
That's why I went there.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, right now, she's definitely in, like, meta relevancy. She's definitely in, like, a B, C area, but she's definitely an A card, right?
She's an A card, no question. I think she's just not being played hyper amounts right now. I would say she's probably here for me.
Yeah, junk meta's right now.
Yeah, I would say Miss Marvel's probably right there for me. A little bit harder to pull off, but still some of the best value in the entire game. Blink is our new season pass card. I think Blink is kind of like right there with Mockingbird, in my opinion. Just like a great card, man. A great card.
Yeah, I think she's higher than Mockingbird. She has to be the top of A. I think it like Blink is
Okay.
so good.
Yeah.
So unbelievable.
Blink is in every single meta deck at the moment. Like straight up, just
Yeah.
the
It
deck.
could age like fine wine to S.
A question about this. Iron Lad used to be invincible, but now that we have Blink to Jubilee, it's just different. It's not that it's bad, it's just different. I still think Iron Lad could possibly be S, but I'm fine with going kind of right next to Blink and top of A. High Evo.
Man, this is one again. It's very similar to Thanos. You want him in your collection. He's performing like a C tier card right now. I think the win rate's like just above like 50%. I would say he's like a high B because like, listen, it's good. It's good. It's just not good right now.
Yeah, it might age better over time, but right now it's just kind of suffering. I would agree with that. Kind of weird not putting it in A, but I do agree. Yeah. Mobius in Mobius, another tech card. I have him above Red Guardian. I would say as far as like sex appeal, you know, like of like owning the card, this is probably where I would put it.
Yeah, you love a man in a suit.
Yeah, man, on jet ski more specifically. What about Noel? How's he aged?
I feel like Null is, ironically, he gets cut a lot from some destroy decks, especially when they get a little greedier. But Null, I still think is like a really high C or B tier card. I don't think he's A anymore. I just feel like destroy has matured out of needing Null in every single list. So I would say he's definitely a B card.
And for those that are watching visually, I will post, or I'm going to show the entire list here when we wrap up the thing because we're pushing some out of the frame here, but that's all good. Okay, yeah, I think right there is about fine for like what you'll do to the archetype. We have a brand new Werewolf by Night, better than ever. Now that he's a 3/1, man, he to me feels like Elsa in the sense of like he's so good, but you want him with other cards as well. I don't know, bro. He's a stupid good card at 3/1.
Yeah, 3/1, it's so hard to evaluate because we really haven't had much of a chance to play with him yet. I could see him, I put him in A. I think he deserves to be in A.
I did too, yeah.
Like, he's going to be a good card.
Yeah, I'm going to put him in A tier, guys. King is F. We don't even have to think about that one.
This is ridiculous. I can't even believe we're not having this conversation. It's an S tier card, and Cozy's just lying to everybody. That's fine.
Sorry, we moved over the list so you guys can see a little bit better. The letters are kind of hidden. No big deal. We're going to go to Beta Ray Bill. How has he matured?
Has matured very poorly, but on occasion, there's a good deck for him. He's definitely going to be in the C tier. I think he's above Supergiant, though.
Dude, he's so one-dimensional, man. He's like such the definition
under
of one dimension.
Then.
He's such the... I would have him below Lady, man, personally. Like, if I could buy one new account.
If you're doing that, then put him under Baron, too.
Yeah, I know. That's how I was thinking. I think I would get Jean. That it's tough. We can like a card. The card can do good, but like talk about one of the most one-dimensional. You better love Jane Foster decks, and if you don't, like you're just buying a bad card at that point.
Yeah, that's true.
Scar has definitely gotten better than he was before.
It's like a high C.
Man, I think Scar's creeping to B. The reason I'd say C is you need so many other cards to make him good.
Yep.
Yeah, like before he gets good, I agree with that, especially now that we're losing cards out of that. War Machine is one of the tougher ones to rank still.
Yeah.
I would say probably, though, as far as like value, I'd have him in C still.
I would lean towards D, just because of like the
rep.
performance is kind of indicative of a D performing card. But if you want to go low C, I would put him under Jean Grey, though.
I'd have him here personally. I'd have him above Beta and above Jean, but if you want to have him below it, that's fine. I think he just gets a bad rep. I've been playing with him still. I still think he's a fine card. I think if you like control, he's just he's awesome, man. But yeah, as far as where I would buy him, probably in this area. I'd get him before Beta personally, but we'll have him there. Galactus.
This is hard, man. I mean, he's playing like a D tier card right now, but he ain't no D tier card. Like I think that like he's probably right now a C. Like he's definitely a C. He's not a priority, but Galactus unlocks a new whole playstyle.
Yeah, because of the playstyle you get, but how good is that playstyle? I'd probably put it right next to Phoenix Force at B.
Sure, yeah, I can accept that.
Those two are like kind of together. Silk, I feel like now is replaceable.
Yeah, actually, you're even seeing some of like those silky smooth style decks cutting Silk Craven, which is crazy, right? So I can see it being like a low C.
If we have Nocturne down at the bottom of B, I think C kind of works.
Sure.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Loki, I would probably still have an S tier.
Yes, I agree. If you're a competitive Marvel Snap player and you're going into a tournament, Loki is such a perfect deck to take.
Or you
Yep.
don't even have a lot of cards and you want to play more cards, or you want just good value.
Perfect, yeah.
Yep, I agree. Sage is good, but replaceable. Tough one.
Yep, definitely replaceable, and honestly way better than people are giving it credit for.
Let's go Nocturne with Sage. I think those kind of work together. They are both kind of like good cards, both replaceable. Alliath,
tier, yeah.
I've played way less of, but is he still A? I think he's probably B.
I think he's high C. I don't actually
Yeah.
think that Alliath is nearly as good as he used to be.
I honestly don't argue with it, especially on what I see from him and what he's going to add to the collection. Yeah, I'd say C just for what he's adding. All right, we're getting close. We're going to rapid fire. Ghost Spider is definitely F. U.S. Agent is still probably, what, above Echo?
Give him a low D. Give him a low D. Come
I
on.
give him a low D. That's fine. We're going to get a lot of comments on this one. Kyera.
That's a B card. That's a B card.
See,
I think that
I
like
don't
it's
think so.
replaceable. You don't even really need it half the time, but it's pretty damn good, man.
I feel like armor is just beating it everywhere. I feel like Kyera is the exact same, is like in the same fate as Blob, just kind of like because of the meta where we're at. I'm fine with B
Sure.
though. I know, dude.
No, I'm fine with C. I'm fine with C.
Yeah, probably with Supergiant above that. Living Tribunal, I think, is Galactus but better.
Yeah, yeah. It has an important role to play. I would say B.
I'd say B too, probably like right here with Mobius. Nico is my probably looking at him, my last S card. I still think Nico is one of the most important cards to get in the game. I think people have different views on this, but I love her.
I would tend to rank Nico in A, but I can see the argument for S.
These four right here, it's funny, they're not an S, but they're like some of my first purchases. Blink, Iron Lad, Nico, Mockingbird, phenomenal cards. Cannonball, great card, replaceable.
Great card right now. It's like the meta is so unbelievably favorable towards Cannonball, but if that shifts, then the card itself feels much weaker. But like it has performed remarkably well, so I lean towards it being like a low A.
And I think it's going to, like, I think we're headed that direction where we're getting away from junk a little bit more. I'm going to open this up all the way, guys. We're going to cover ourselves here for a second as we finish off the list here.
I was like, bro's actually just going to cover me on this podcast?
Bro, I'm covered too. We are both covered here. All right, you guys see the whole list now. We have Corvus Glaive, buddy.
Oh, you're waiting for me to say it? Okay, Corvus Glaive, I'm going to say is definitely an A card.
I agree, man. He opens up archetypes massively. He's kind of that first card you get before you get Proxima, and then Hell is just a gamer. Nebula.
Oh, man, this is a high A card. Nebula's incredible. Very high meta share, upwards of 20-something%. Very good card.
One of the most played one-drops in the game, no question about it. Can fit just about anywhere. Hitmonkey is on the rise, but I probably have him...
I would put Hitmonkey in C. I see you hovering him in B. I would think that Hitmonkey's a C card.
Yeah, I
think
agree.
about what Sage is doing, too.
Yeah, I have him right with, like, Scar. Like, these two together,
yeah,
they're kind of like,
sense.
they're rising together. Martyr's F, we know that. MODOK is less important than he was, but still, like, a pivotal piece. I'd say MODOK feels like a... Ooh. I don't know, man. Because of Corvus now, it's just weird.
Yeah, I've not played MODOK in the longest time. I would even dare to say he's high D. Like, he just got replaced with a better card, I think.
I like him kind of here.
Sure, and C.
Yeah, I kind of like I had a beta for War Machine and Gene, but not quite here. It's tough to put him above those, but I would probably give most of these before it. Most of them. Silver Samurai.
Feels like a D card.
Yeah, I don't play him much at all. Don't really think he offers anything too unique outside of the one archetype. Legion, great card, but kind of replaceable. Legion to me feels like a B, but towards the kind of like Namora category.
I think Nomura is better than Legion.
I
I
do
hate
too.
saying that because I love Legion. But I would agree Legion's going to be in B. He just losing that one power. I think he should get it back. That's just my opinion, though.
Nimrod.
That's a low C card. Yeah, it's good, but it's not shaking the meta up right now.
Agreed. Spider-Ham.
I like Spider-Ham. I would say a low B.
I would say low B too. I'm pretty comfortable with that. Darkhawk has had a lot of changes.
Oh, man, I like
but
Darkhawk.
We know he's good. I think he's an A tier. I think he stays an A, bro. I think he's good.
Yeah, you could make the argument. He's not S anymore, but like I think he's just under Mockingbird and he's above White Widow.
It's the package that plays with him. It's
Yeah.
just the way the deck curves out. It's stupid good. Dawkin is almost full copium. If you're playing Dawkin, you're probably losing games. I'm going to put Dawkin in F as much as I think he has
He's
some
D,
value.
not F. Come on, you're doing him dirty now.
Bro, he's pretty bad. He's pretty bad. He's like, I guess I'll put him with Shaw if you want to. If it makes you sleep better at night. Snowguard?
I like Snowguard a lot. I think she deserves to be in B.
I like her. I do. I'll put her with Spider-Ham. Meek?
Damn.
Meek's good.
Meek, he's good, but like, again, talking about our requirements, he's definitely going to be in the C tier, no?
Yeah, like right around here. As far as like when you would buy them and stuff, I think that's fine.
Yeah, above Supergiant, I agree.
Okay. And then we already did Noel. So this is your full look at the... I just realized how off that's been. Great. This is your full look at the entire tier list, everybody. And yeah, I think this is fine. We don't have the left to right order perfect, but you know, this is going off of rapid fire, quick list. If we were to do it again, we'd probably rank it differently. But this is archetype defining, but also what we would spend our tokens on right away. So S tier, we have Jeff, Hope Summers, Annihilus, Red Hulk, Thanos, and Loki. And then for the rest of them, well, there's a lot to name. But I would say top of A, guys, Blink, Iron Lad, Nico, Mockingbird, Darkhawk. Alex, close it with probably your favorite purchase on this list.
I mean, my favorite purchase on this list, I think ultimately has been Loki. If you got to go all the way back in time, I mean, I think Loki has truly unlocked a whole new gameplay style that I've come to appreciate, especially after the nerfs. In terms of pure value, buying Annihilus on day one has never been a mistake. Neither has Jeff.
You know, I would say if I were to pick one, it's so funny that it's so recent. I think Blink might be close because of the ability to make Blink work in any deck with Jubilee that you already have and ramp into good cards. That's what I like. All right, man. So that's going to conclude this section of the tier list, guys. Super rapid fire. Usually in the future when we do rapid fire, we're not going to have 70 options to go through, but hopefully it was somewhat enjoyable to listen to. Let's talk the OTA briefly on this longer podcast. And we got to start with it, man. Steve Rogers. It happened. Captain America was at least looked at by the developers. I thought he wasn't even in the game build that they had. Man, I don't know. And keep in mind, guys, we're having to film this way early. We're not getting a lot of play with these cards, but we're getting our kind of initial thoughts. It's sad that he has the ongoing card thing with it. It's just like they're trying so hard to keep him in this pigeonhole position, but he's definitely better.
He's definitely better. Like, he becomes more niche. However, when you niche down a little bit, sometimes you get the opportunity to increase your potential in those niche applications. That's exactly what happened here. Definitely an ongoing Spectrum style card. It reduces the risk of playing cards like Howard the Duck, Ant-Man, Goose, and smaller cards that genuinely benefit from just existing beside Captain America, right? So while this Captain America buff is a buff for Captain America, it's a buff for some of these smaller cards that don't see a lot of play.
Yeah, he was the master of none, and I like him with Onslaught. I like him in Tribunal. He's got some really cool, unique decks, and I just hope this isn't the end for him. They said they wanted an iconic card for new players to have. I just think there are other ones out there. I think there are other iconic cards out there. I hope they look at Steve again. But hey, he did get a buff. We've been asking for it for 2 years, man. 2 freaking years. But let's talk about the other buffs, man. We have some kind of crazy ones. We've mentioned it so many times. Winner of the patch, by far, Werewolf by Night.
The patch was all the people that were cheering for the Leech kind of deletion, but yeah. Werewolf by Night in terms of buffs, absolute winner. I'm glad this happened too. Werewolf by Night died a very unceremonious death, and it was unfortunate because the card was a ton of fun to play, very unique playstyle. Glad to see it's back and can't wait to start brewing with him. Yeah, Loki, we know, was like insane with this. I'm a little hesitant towards what that'll do there, but my gosh, it's just one of the most enjoyable cards to play in the entire game. Seriously, so much fun to work around and rewards just great gameplay. I'm pumped about the Werewolf by Night. We have smaller buffs, but we still got them. We have Grandmaster. We kind of touched on him. We could be brief here. I think it's going to... I think it's definitely going to help his cause, but it also takes away some synergy he had in something like Ravonna. Yeah, Ravonna was a huge part of his package. I almost wonder if a 2-1 buff would have been better because it still maintains that synergy with Ravonna. However, at 2-2, he's just universally more playable. He's not stuck to being a Ravonna card anyways. So we'll have to see. 2 power is better than 0 power. And I would say this, guys, one thing about Captain America and now Grandmaster, I think this is the best season ever for Cerebro. The fact that you could play Mystique and Cerebro with Captain America to get them to 2 and have the possibility of a Grandmaster send something like Storm in the middle twice, you have really cool potential with Grandmaster in C2, and I'm excited to see how much that rises as we go through the week more. We also had Leader gain a power point. I think this just felt kind of good. I either wanted Leader to get a power point or get a power taken away so that he could work with Ravonna. Either or, I was kind of... You wanted Leader to get buffed?
Yeah, not like massively, but like he was obviously one of the least played 6 costs.
Yeah, he definitely got destroyed in not the most recent nerfs, but like when he got nerfed, he got destroyed. He got leadered. That was like the term we were using for the longest time. He got leadered, right? So yeah, I think that like Red Hulk should have brought it back out a little bit. I think they were right to identify that in the patch notes. So this seems fair.
If we justify Loki, we have to justify leader, because just because you have big Red Hulk, okay, how is that any more fair than a leader being played to counter it? I think I like the leader being in a position of counterplay now, where it doesn't feel completely cheap. But yeah, definitely a good pick here. Baron, I did not expect Baron to get some attention and love, but I kind of think this is a really cool change. Like, it's not drawing, it's potentially disrupting. He doesn't work with Ronin now, so he's like a true niche, weird disruption card.
It's interesting. I don't know. So this is like one of those texts that like, okay, now this is like a Magic the Gathering style text where it's like, it's a little convoluted. You read it for the first time, you're like, wait, what the hell is this doing? You got to read it again. So it is a little tricky, but it's okay. Listen, if it delays the cost of their ability to play down cards early, that's fine. But like, it still kind of sucks that at turn 6 it reverts back to its original cost, because that negates the Ronin effect. If it stayed at 6 and you just got rid of the draw mechanic, it would have actually been a good card. I don't know if it would have been overpowered though.
I like him in potential bounce maybe, but more so than not like the Baron Zemo deck. Like kind of this like, I'm going to just mess up everything you try to do. Like that's the best case scenario I would find for Baron. I still think he's kind of niche. As far as the nerfs, guys, we had Luke Cage get a power point down, Spectrum to make up for the obvious Captain America. But we did have Leech. We kind of poured a lot into Leech lately. I will say this, when Blink came out, I was playing Leech at 5, and it still felt fine to go into 6. He's still going to have those niche cases, and now he's a little bit better power-wise. And Cerebro 5. So I think we have a couple, still use cases for niche, for Leech.
It's crazy to me that Leech ultimately, from like last month, still comes out with a buff. Like, he's still technically got buffed, right? Like, I don't know, man. Like, it's not what it used to be, which is I'm thankful for. But old Leech used to come out on, like, turn 3 with stones, with Lockjaw, Thanos, and all that stuff. It's still a card that needs to be carefully considered if it's a meta card. But it was running like a 55% win rate in high infinite. Like, that's just insane.
It reminds me of Alioth, where they tried so many times until they were like, okay, we're just going to rework the card as a whole. Like, it just is not working in its state. We'll have to see if this Leech sticks around. We'll end on Sentry, because I think this is one of the more interesting nerfs / buffs. He went to a 4-8, and the Void is a 4-8. Sentry was always getting punted by Shang-Chi, and was one of the few in the Annihilus package. The Annihilus package reigns on having low value push, and with Demon, and with having, obviously, the Hob and the Hood get pushed over, or the Void and the Hood. I like this change for Sentry. Obviously, it's a 4-net change. They want to look at it as a nerf, but I think in the way the deck plays, especially if you're not just doing a Annihilus with a bunch of random stuff, but a Annihilus in his core package, it's a good change.
If you're going to attack the Annihilus package, doing it here makes me feel better than attacking Annihilus. I'd rather you take 2 points off of Sentry than a single point off of Annihilus.
Agreed. I think this will be interesting to see how these cook. Yeah, Alex and I both have crazy days ahead, so we filmed this before we got all of our testing in. But I think it's just one of the better patches that have come in quite some time. They've addressed a lot of things. They got right on the Leech change. I'll take the win there overall. But guys, we had ourselves quite the episode. Prepare for Sasquatch, prepare for Infinity Conquest, and also prepare for Alex's side of the Snapchat. We're going to be talking about Namora, the Meta Breakers, and Snapchat Mailbag. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Till the next one. Happy snapping.